Lam here to talk to you about using MLA in your citations in your paper. I'm going to ignore the fact that I have talked about this a couple of times and instead tell myself that this is all worth my time because now I will have myself recorded forever after on the internet talking about MLA 8. Anyway, I'm going to go through five different ways, I think, actually, that you can go about citing your information. I'm going to go from what I think is the simplest and the least amount of work to the one that is the most amount of work or the least simple. And I'm going to get started right now. Option number one is if you are using Google Scholar. If you are using Google Scholar, first of all, side note, if you just Google the word education, you get super strange results, but that's neither here nor there. Right underneath each article or entry in Google Scholar is a button that says Cite. You simply press the button, and here you have the option from which kind of citation format you want to use. In this case, we are using MLA. You simply would go ahead, press copy, and press paste, and put it into your works cited page. That's option number one. Option number two is if you are using the school databases, it's really similar. Here it's right on the side. It says cite this item. I press on that. I go to the one that says MLA. I hit copy, and then I paste it into my works cited page. If you are using something that is not on one of these databases, like Google Scholar or JSTOR or ProQuest or whichever other one you're using, then you're going to have to figure out how to cite things on your own. Now, I know that a lot of you like to use EasyBib, and I will show you, talk to you about using EasyBib, but here is what I need to make very clear. EasyBib is only a tool, and if it is not used appropriately, it will get you in much more trouble than it's worth, which means that if you don't interact with the EasyBib generator, your citations are going to be wrong, and then you're going to say, but I did it in EasyBib, and I certainly will not care about that. Now, a couple things to keep in mind about EasyBib. Thing number one is the citation formats are up here on top, and it is by default on MLA 7. I don't know why that is, but you need to, first of all, press on MLA 8. That's the first thing that you need to do, is make sure that you have put MLA 8. Then the second thing you need to do, let's say I just pulled up a random article over here. I'm going to copy the URL and I'm going to paste it here in the URL. Then I'm going to press cite it. Now, once it does its thing, while it goes, it's gathering my information. Okay, it's found my article, so I'm going to press cite this a second time. Wait for it to do its thing. And here is what it found for me, but it has not found everything. Now, this is a good article because it looks like it found most of this stuff. I probably should demonstrate a not such a good article. But actually, no, it has incorrect information. What I need to do here is I need to cross-check the information that EasyBib has given me with the information that I can see in the article itself. So this is content published on a website. It's actually not true. It's actually originally published in a magazine. But for this case, we'll pretend that it was pressed. Now, the article title in this case is correct. The Basics of Blended Instruction. Right? So I go back over here to my article. That is true. The Basics of Blended Instruction. Now, the author I'm looking here is Catlin R. Tucker. I go over here, but that is not who it says that it is. So I need to change that information here in EasyBib. It'd be so much more convenient. Oh, there we go. So I put in her name. Beautiful. Now, the website title is, going back to check, is actually ASCD. It is not educational leadership. That's only part of it. You always find the website title on the top. So I click over here and I press ASCD. Now, I'm going to go look for the publisher or the sponsor. In this case, the best way to find that, I don't know what's with all these weird highlightings, but the best way to find that is to go to the bottom and see who the website is copyright to. That'll always tell you who the publisher is. In this case, it happens to be the same, which hopefully when it makes this citation, it won't say the same thing twice. We will see. ASCD goes over there because that was right there. That date of publication. Let's check that out. Go back up to the top and see the date of publication is March 2013. So I go back here again and I press try that again. Is it going to want to maybe, there we go. No. March. There we go. Maybe. 2013. Now, once I have verified all of that information, now is the time that I press create citation. So please notice that this wasn't, oh great, EasyBib, I did it. I pressed cite. I ignored the fact that there were orange boxes around stuff. I ignored the fact that I didn't double check anything. That is when you have incorrect citations. So here now, once you press create citation, oh, look at that. Beautiful. And here you have it. Well, it repeated it. Not necessary. It's fine. Whatever. And here you have the citation. And now, again, you can copy it and paste it. And it looks fantastic. Okay? But again, keep in mind, this is a tool. This is not something that you're just using easy 1, 2, 3. Just to give you a bit of a perspective, MLA 8 versus MLA 7. I'm going to take a leap and assume that you have no idea what the difference is between MLA 8 and MLA 7, because even if you've used MLA 7, you didn't pay attention to it. MLA 8, which was issued in April of 2016, the major difference that you can tell visually when you're making your citations so that you'll know if you got it right or not is MLA 8 has URLs. If you are using anything that was published online, you're going to have a URL. Okay, so now we spoke about citations being generated automatically in databases. We spoke about generating a citation from a generator like EasyBib. Now I'm actually going to talk about the long way of doing things, and I'm going to do that in 2 ways. Way number 1 is using this cheat sheet that I made you. This takes information from, let's say, OWL, which I'll show you in a second, but it puts it, I think, really neatly and clearly. What you're going to do is you're going to include the following information in your citation in this order. You start with the author, last name, comma, first name, period. Then you give the title of the source. A book is put in italics. An article is put in quotation marks. Either way, after the title of the source, you put a period. The next thing that you do, and this is new to MLA 8, is you need to list the container. Just like a container stores, I don't know, food items or your sticker collection. Stickers in a container? Not really, but whatever. The question is, where is this source stored? If it came from a newspaper, then the title of the newspaper, like the New York Times, is the container. If it's published on a website, then the name of the website is the container. The only time that you're not going to use a container is if you're talking about a book. Books don't generally have containers unless you're talking about a book that has a number of different short pieces in it and you're talking about one specific piece from the larger book. The next thing that you do is you need to include the number. This usually refers to publications, not to books. A newspaper, a journal article, even sometimes website, but mostly this is journal or newspaper. If there is a volume and an issue, then you need to put that information, VOL dot with the number, and comma, NO dot with the number, followed by a comma. Then you bring the publisher. This is the site or the organization that brings the source to the public. If this is the same as the container, you do not need to repeat it. Now, this is going to include, for example, the title of the database, which may be different. Let's say if you're taking an article from a database, the article was published in Psychology Weekly, right? That's the container. It's the name of the journal it was published in. But then JSTOR is the publisher that brought the article to the internet. And so here you would need to include JSTOR as well. Now, sometimes the publisher of a website is different than the name of the website. You would know that by checking the name of the website up at the top of the website versus the name of the publisher, which is all the way down, like I showed you before, next to the copyright date. The next thing that you do is you list the publication date. It's either just a year, sometimes it's a full date, whatever it is, you follow it with a comma. If it is a full date, you should be doing a day, month, year format that does not get any commas. You put the number of the day, it should be 2 digits. Then you put the name of the month. It can either be written out fully or you can abbreviate it. And then you put the full year. You follow this with a comma. And finally, the last thing is the location. Now, location, I probably should have divided into 2 things on this sheet. But I didn't, so we'll go with this. Location includes 2 things. Thing number 1 for location is page numbers in a book or journal article. If the original thing had page numbers, then you include those after the publication date. If you only use one page, you do a single P dot followed by the number. Period. If it is more than one page, if it's a range of pages, P dot followed by the page range. The other thing that you do is you do the URL for a web source. If you're using a website, if you are using an online database or anything that's on the online, you need to include the URL. But start from even if you're copying and pasting from your from on top, right, from the web bar, only start copying from the www. The HTTP stuff just makes it look messy. If it's a journal, there's very big likelihood it will give you a DOI number. Don't know what that stands for. I probably should, but I don't. That is some kind of permanent link thing. But again, if it has a DOI number, then probably it's from a journal, and then you are able to anyway get an automatic proper citation. And that's the information that you include just so you can see what this might look like. A book, for example, here, this is a book. Highly recommended, by the way, Drive, the Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us. So I start with the author, Daniel Pink. So I put Pink Daniel, followed by a period. I put the title of the book. It's in italics because it's a title of a book, followed by a period. Then the book was published. There is no container because it's a book. There is no number because it doesn't have a volume, again, because it's a book. So the next piece of information that I have available to me is the publisher. And in this case, it is Riverhead Books. Then I need to have a date of publication. In this case, it's the year 2009. In my imaginary paper, the pages that I've used are pages 126 to 152. But again, if you're using a book, you do the range of pages that fits what you used in your article. Next option, let's say I'm doing a newspaper article online. Okay, this one is written by David Brooks. So I start Brooks, comma, David, period. Then I put the title in quotation marks because this is the title of an article, which is a short work. This century is broken. Now, here I do have a container. In this case, my container is the New York Times. It goes in italics. I don't have an issue. No, I don't have numbers over here. My publisher is the same as my container, so I don't need to repeat it. I do have the date of publication, which is the 21st of February, 2017. Notice again the format of day, month, year, followed by a comma, and then I have the URL exactly as I copied, minus the HTTP part, whatever that is, with the period at the end. Final thing is a journal or a database article. Here I have the authors. In this case, it was authored by 2 people, Marco A. Munoz and Thomas R. Gusky. Just something, again, if it's a journal, probably you're not doing this by hand. Probably it's already been done for you. I just want to go over it anyway. You do, the first named author gets last name, comma, first name, and then the second one just gets his name written straight the right way, period after the authors. Then again, because this is a short article, it goes in quotation marks. Standards-based grading and reporting will improve education. My period goes inside my quotation marks. It was published in a journal, so I put the journal name in italics. I put here's where finally numbers come into play. The volume 96, number 7, that was the volume and number of this specific journal. It was published in 2015. I have page numbers here because this article took place on page numbers, and I also have the publisher and the URL at the end. So this one, let's say over here, has lots and lots of information. Again, this is all in the cheat sheet. Now, suppose you're using some kind of specialized, source that you need to know how to cite. This website, when I was in college, was definitely one of my most visited, the Purdue Online Writing Lab. You can just Google it, OWL Purdue MLA, and it'll come up right away. This has everything you need to know about MLA. So if you have any questions with MLA, well, how do I do that? Check it up on OWL. It will tell you how to do in-text citations. Right over here, it goes through all of the instructions of how to do in-text citations and what to do in all different kinds of situations. It gives you examples. It goes through it. It tells you how to do it. It goes through formatting quotations, works cited page, basic formatting, goes through all different kinds of things that you might need to do. It even will show you a sample paper. This is a great website. You need to spend obviously more time searching around, but it will give you any information that you need, and this is definitively a place to go if you're not sure how to do something. So this is it. This is MLA. I hope that this is helpful. I look forward to seeing really, really, really precise citations in your paper. Have a good one.